All right, you're good.
You're good. Well, first I want to thank Mike for allowing me to have the opportunity to share my message. So a little bit of background about me. So I founded back in October what's called Upstate-Carolina Adaptive Golf. And finally I have a grant writer / consultant who's been helping me kind of my back end organizational development. So once I was the president and the chief executive director, but that's not really allowed. So now I'm just the chief executive director, and we're changing positions around to get right with the IRS. So a little bit of background. I did 4 years in the Army straight out of high school, 1 deployment in Afghanistan, and when I came back, I kind of had my own struggles, went through, isolation period and having trouble with other mental disabilities. I actually resorted to alcohol and went through a bad period in my life where I pretty much threw everything away and had to overcome that disease through some rehab and help with surrounding myself. So when I actually got out of the Army, I had a vision to go out, become a sports psychologist, focusing on optimal performance among elite athletes in the golf arena. And when I started that track, that was, I got out July 2014. I started my college career August 2014. 3 years, I got my Bachelor of Science, Experimental Psychology, minor in Philosophy. And for about a year, it took me about a year to get into a master's program, which I started back in October, working on my Master of Science in Positive Psychology, concentrating on coaching. And this whole time, I'm focusing all my research on elite athletes. It's all out there, tons of research. And it was October 20th, I signed up for an Intro to Golf clinic down in Georgia through the program. And when I went there that day, I thought I was going to be coaching beginners. And one of my mentors now walks in the room and explained how over 20 years he's enhanced thousands of lives and saved hundreds of lives of veterans through the game of golf. When he told me that, I was just, what's golf and saving? What does he mean? Been in this little bubble my whole life. I was raised on high-end facilities, top-of-the-line instruction, high-quality equipment. So I'm just like, what's he talking about? And so I get out there, my first participant, she was 8 years old, completely blind, and never touched a club. And so all I did was just talk to her, gain her trust, and start putting her in the right position. In about 20 minutes, I set her up to hit her first shot in her life. And I kid you not, the ball goes straight down the middle of the fairway into the air, and I about fell over after I saw it. And I turn around, and I see the mom behind me in tears of joy. And when I saw that, I just couldn't believe what just happened. And I looked up after telling her great shot. It was like, God, I was like, take this back to Greenville. So 7 days later, I'm online. 501c3, I don't know what that is, but all right. Filing all this paperwork and paying all this money, not knowing what's going to happen. And lo and behold, just through networking, meeting Mike, meeting other people in the community, and sharing my vision, they're like, this could actually work. But you just kind of got to get organized, right? I'm just out here doing, but I had to sit back and kind of really work on, growing the business. And so what I started doing was joint venturing with other going programs like Prisma Health, Roger C. Peace, for instance. They have what's called Pair Mobiles. And when I found that, they had their final event was December 6th at Buckney Woods. And I got to take John here out there. I said, John, just come on out, man. I just want to show you something. They have this equipment. It sits in the basement. Nobody really gets to use it. He said, there's no way I can hit a golf ball. There's no way. Well, I get him out there, and first I have him hitting out the chair, but then when we put him in the Paramobile, it was the first time he was able to stand up in over 20-something years. And when he told me that, it was just one of the moments. It was like it put more fire in me. I was like, I got to help more people. And so that's kind of how we came to an existence, and my background of how I kind of came up with the idea. So back in April, I held what was called our Adaptive Golf Coach Training event at Clemson. Because in order for me to start having programs, I was one of the only trained coaches that knew how to work in adaptive scenarios. And I could backtrack a little bit. Back in November, I had to actually fly to Chicago to become trained and certified in order to get that credential to start having clinics. So I did that. Then I paid for a group to actually come up to Clemson back in April and actually host a golf training event. So I have about 15-20 coaches now that are actually trained and can help with any of my clinics at any time. And so that's a little bit of background, just to reiterate. That just touches up on my story, what I went over with the girl in October 2018. And technically, yeah, it has become one of my spiritual obligations. I kind of treat it like a ministry. And y'all probably like, man, how's this guy funding this? This, that, and the other. Well, just a quick brief synopsis of that. I started getting into like some real estate and got lucky. I got a mentor, and next thing you know, I was successful in real estate transactions and able to fund the program. So that's how I was kind of able to do that. Let's see. So our mission, to serve individuals with physical and cognitive disabilities through adaptive golf therapy. We serve veterans, individuals recovering from physical or mental trauma, and adults and children with developmental, cognitive, and physical disabilities. So everybody was telling me you got to focus on one specific population. I'm like, no, I want to focus on everybody. So our vision, create awareness and championing equal opportunities and inclusiveness for all. Our core strategies, UCAG fulfills this mission by engaging individuals with applied positive psychology and adaptive golf therapy, serving as a positive champion for disability-related issues, and leveraging our collective resources, such as Greenville Canyon and other organizations, to influence golf courses to become more accessible for inclusiveness. So my goal is to one day get the Donaldson Center up and running again, and have it as like a community rec park for all, inclusiveness, a little short miniature, and not only have golf fitness, but also the rec side of it too. So this is a veteran, Jesse. He was going through treatment. He had to have surgery through the VA, and I can't remember the name of his original disability, but once he got done with the treatment, the surgeon by accident snipped something in his CNS, and so that actually interfered a whole lot more with his cognitive ability. And he was actually going through a real bad time where he was struggling with a lot of self-doubt, and so when we were able to get him out here, and he was able to witness the ability he had.
Nice.
It just brightened his whole day up. It was amazing just to watch. Now, when he first got there with his wife, and he was like, kind of in a depressive mode, can't really do much, then getting him out, and actually, when he had the opportunity to show him that he had the ability, it was just like a whole different man after that. It's pretty cool to watch. And here's Coach Jay. I don't know if y'all know John Robinson. He rolls around downtown, talks a big game. So this is him from starting back in December. This was our last clinic we had about 2 weeks ago, and this is how far he's come. So.
Jess, what do you think about that shot John just did? Awesome, yeah. What do you think, John?
That's awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
So.
He started in December, and now he's in the fall. Was it easy?
See, now he's saying it's easy. He talking like it's easy, but he knows it took a lot of hard work. He didn't just get out there and be able to do that. And a goal for a lot of mine, when I'm working with a lot of people, is to have them. What does the end look like? Don't just get up there and swing. And I'm able to transition that in life. What does that look like? What do you want to see yourself do? What does this shot look like? What does that end result look like in life too? So I always take this game and I transition back to life. So they can also take this and go play with their buddies, but also apply it to their own success financially and wealth building. So this is pretty much everything I've done. Just hopping around everywhere, like Mike said. I just try to make a seat at the table most places. So our first thing was in Clemson, our training. In Spartanburg, in the month of the summertime, the police program they have what's called a youth mentorship program. It's about 20 children from the south side of the tracks that's all gone through an adverse childhood experience, whether their family's on drugs or in jail. And I was actually able to do a mini presentation and then get out and show them golf. And when I was in there doing the presentation, these kids were receptive. They didn't want to take no positive or nothing. Getting them out and engaging them in golf, they became accepting, which is the police officers were thrilled to see that just a game of golf and introducing it to them gave them a new motivation to want to do something good. And then most of the other joint venture events has been with Roger C. Peace. And I'm working on developing a monthly program out of Mountain View Nursing Home. I actually trickled in through there after being on the news. They called me and reached out to me, and they told me that they're viewed as I guess, the last places that people want to go in Spartanburg when they're going to a nursing home. So they don't have much money for activities. So I actually told them, look, I'll just donate my time. I want to see these guys, you know, succeed at this. And lo and behold, we're in their cafeteria, and we got the music going. They're in their jam. They're in their chairs. We got some of them getting out of the chairs on walkers that wouldn't have the motivation to, other than to proceed in the game of golf. So let's see. And then, so our two, standing clinics that we're going to have that are going to be ongoing is every third Monday of the month from 9 to 11 a.m. at Top Golf, and then every fourth Sunday of the month, 5 to 7 p.m. at Shanks Golf Range. So those are that you can guarantee that we're going to be there every time. Now I'm working on getting more and more as we get our foundation to grow.
Brandon, quick question.
Yes.
So I noticed that you sort of, trail off to August, September, October, golf clinics. So do you have things scheduled past October?
Yes, I should have. Let me iterate. So I forgot to add that. We do have, let me back up. We've added curriculum to the PRTM program with Dr. Teresa Tucker. And so August, September, and October is going to be the fourth Wednesday. And the time is still variable right now.
Okay.
So once I know school starts back next week.
Yep.
So I'm coming up next week. We're going to finalize the date and time. But when we
You've got a lot going on up here this spring. I
Right.
see all these dates that you've done in the spring, so I was wondering if you're going to be able to be that active in the fall, because we know here, the winter gets pretty cold and probably a little bit tougher to get out on the golf course in December, January timeframe. So
Right.
have you thought about how you're going to handle during that time period?
During the winter months.
Yeah.
The winter months, technically, it's these two that are ongoing.
Uh-huh.
They're continuous.
Yeah.
If it's a day that's going to have snow or bad weather, we probably have to cancel it and just move it to the next month.
Got it.
But
And that's so awesome that you were able to join in with Top Golf. That's amazing.
thanks.
That's amazing.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a big win.
Well, I started in the morning, if you can see. Then we're going to kind of work towards the evening, about 6 months down the road, ask for a little more.
Good.
So,
Good. That's great.
but we will be in Clemson. So our goal is to get the life program.
That's another big win.
Another big one?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
good.
huge. Well, it's huge to be able to work with that school.
It is. And the thing that was bothering me the most was 1996, they developed, a 100-page document on how they're going to grow accessible game of golf and how the walking course is the only accessible course, and they're going to do all this. They haven't touched it since 1996. And so I'm actually, partnering with the golf management program and the PRTM program to work on curriculum on both sides. That way, when they're getting trained, they're not just going out and knowing how to work with able-bodied human being. They can also adapt in different scenarios. So
Yeah.
there was just some gaps that we were able to kind of come in and highlight, and they were accepting to it. Any questions? I know that's quick.
Have any of the courses are they open to letting the people you're coaching play around the golf? Or is it using the driving range? How are you working them into actually playing golf holes and rounds of golf? How does that work?
Right. So right now it's more of a tee to green program. And since we're still kind of in the beginning phases, it's mainly just tee right now, working on building skill level up, and then
So mostly on the range, driving range?
mostly driving range. But our goal is to, like with crosswinds right here, go short par 3.
Yeah.
I've kind of got to go ahead as soon as we're ready to start branching to a short kind of course period. It's probably going to be our main location. And then how Prisma Health works, they have 2 driving range clinics in the fall and 2 in the spring. And then they also have 1 on-course play in the fall, 1 on-course play in the spring.
Okay.
So that's another day that we're able to kind of get on course too.
Good.
Donaldson still exists?
77 acres, that the deed is to the city, half city and half county, and it's sitting there. The B&W plan backed out. So I've got a whole business plan ready to roll if you want to take a look at it.
What's the cost to participants? How does that work?
trying to do it all for free.
Well, I'm gonna say you haven't used that word, but I mean,
Yep, I'm trying to do it all to where it's not, so I'm just getting sponsorships to where if somebody can sponsor a veteran for $55 a lesson, or, you know, X amount for the year. So the fundraising side of it, I've just been pretty much doing what I can. But Susan Boozer, she's the woman I hired for my consultant / grant writer, so she's been kind of on the back end, taking all the numbers and recording it for me. Because when I gave her my back end, it was probably through sealing, and it took her about 3 weeks to organize it all. So I'm glad I got her when I did, because it was getting a little hectic. But
So are you saying that anyone can just show up on any of these days, or they don't need to call and register? with
I
you?
would prefer they do, but I mean, the last one I had, I probably had about 5-6 people register and had about 20 show up, which is great because then, you know, a portion of them will want to volunteer, a portion will want to participate, and some are just checking it out. So we're open to everything. We don't turn anybody away.
Other questions for Randy?
Brandon?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, an amazing job in such a short period of time,
I
actually.
know, right?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll hire you to come like talk to my other people. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, let's give Brandon a big old
Great
hand.
job.